You turn somebody like so if you're meeting with somebody and you're like, all right, man, I mean, this person just has no hustle. They have no drive. I can't help this person because there's things that you can teach, things that you can't teach. I can teach skill, I can't teach will. How do you let them down, being like, well, I'm not going to take your $1,000 check because
I'm fortunate because I'm not going to do as much consulting moving forward. But funny story, right? So I really try and be compassionate, but sometimes people just don't get it. Right. I met with a guy who's new in town. He was working for a brokerage. We sat down and, he's got the look. He's got some drive. Completely short on tact. That can be worked out, right? It just depends on who he wants to attract. This is a guy who, he literally told me, he's just like, I want to be better than the Lakers in real estate, or better than the Lakers are in basketball. I want to be that in real estate. I'm like, great. Well, you're at a good brokerage, a lot of examples there. He's like, I need you to recruit. And he had a very specific roster of who he wanted to recruit. And I looked at it and I was just like, why would these people work for you? He's like, well, I did this and this and this. And he was talking about another state. I got to be careful because I've only didn't do this for a couple of people, right? So I was like, great, that's phenomenal. But you were on that team. That wasn't your team. Right. You weren't the one generating. Well, yeah, I did this, I did that. Like, that's great. Start doing it here, and then I have something to go back to. I'm like, because these people have all sold more than you have. That doesn't hunt. That doesn't work. Kind of started arguing with me, which is fine. I like the challenge. I was like, okay, well, I can literally have lunch with this person tomorrow, and you can come. I'm like, it's going to be embarrassing for you, and I'm going to cut it when I can. And we sat down, we three met, and we're just like, I didn't mean to throw the other person under the bus, but I knew that afterwards I could talk them down and they wouldn't be angry with me. And instantly he starts giving the hard sell. I mean, we hadn't even ordered yet. I was just like, oh, this should be good because I know this person's personality, but he didn't even take the time to get a read, and it was all about him. Yeah. All about him. Never once asked the question. And so he's just like, what do you think? Would you like to come work with me? The guy's like, oh, you asked me a question. He's like, no, I will never work with somebody who didn't ask me anything about me.
Right.
25 minutes they spent. And I was just like, oh, well, there we go. Let's have a nice lunch now. Beers are on me, right? And, and the guy and it was a hard lesson for him to learn. So that was the easiest way I could do it. Sometimes I just tell people flat out no. Sometimes I'll take a contract and, we'll have very specific goals, right? And I'm real clear because consulting sometimes doesn't work out, right? So is that building out your call center? Is that helping build your team? Well, I can build your team if I have the control over that. If I don't have the control over that, where does that come and go? And then if you have somebody else that comes in and says, yeah, we don't want to do it that way. Okay, well, if you're going to keep asking 9 people for their opinion, what are you paying me for? And I have a lot more patience for it now than I did back then, because then I would just be like, this is stupid. Here's half of your money back. I'm not even dealing with this. But I'm very clear, right? And I write it down. And if it's somebody who's, it's a team or an environment and they have a whiteboard, if they don't have one, I put it in there and I literally put it on the board. So it's this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then every action that I do, this fits number 2, this fits number 5, this fits number 1. This is how this is going to work, because they're asking me to help them do it because they don't know how to do it. So my job isn't to just do it for them, it's to teach them why we're doing this. I think you should bring this person on. Well, I think she kind of competes with me. Well, yeah, she absolutely does compete with you in your third market target. Right? So if you have a zip code that you want, and then you have a database system that you want, and you have a team environment you want, and then you have another city you want to target, she's your biggest competitor here. But personality-wise, you guys are perfect. You guys are going to be great. I'm like, and you can't be everywhere. The idea of a team is that you're outsourcing, right? It's leverage. That's your leverage for number 4. Yeah. These aren't in importance order. These are things we need to get done. Brought in somebody else. Oh, but I really don't even want to be down in that other area. That's not even on our list. You're right. That's perfect, because she will fulfill number 2 and help with number 3. And it took a while, right? And those 3 people are still together, right? But our second goal was we wanted to really expand her Boomtown account, right? And so I literally found a group that wanted to leave another team. Like, it's a very rare thing. They called me. 3 people that had worked on a high-producing team wanted to leave that team amicably, because I do too much business in town for them to screw anybody, right? Amicably, but they wanted to find another team just to plug into the system. They knew how to use the phones. They knew they'd sell anything anywhere, right? Go-getters. Brought them in. So they're going to fulfill number 2. Number 2 was increase and improve my Boomtown. I'm like, pfft, it would take us a year to find 3 people like this, let alone 3 years. These people are already dialed in. Best training in town on that. I don't like the way they look. I'm like, that's great. Don't date them. Right. I'm like, but that was the end of the relationship. And it wasn't because it was so perfect. It was, I had fulfilled so many of the obligations, and I was so close to having the perfect trifecta, right? 2 hires out of this world. The 3rd hire, it would have brought in $500,000 almost instantly. Like, one of those guys had closed 16 deals the month before, and she doesn't like them because they don't have the look that she wants. Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, are we here to make money, or are we here to... and they didn't care. I told them, I'm like, you guys got to wear some fucking clothes, right? Don't come in shorts and Tevas, right? Yeah. You gotta dress. And that was that, right? Because then all of a sudden it became more about something else. And so how do I deal with that? I respectfully removed myself from the situation.
Yeah, it's in real estate, man, we got this industry, and I operate 4 other businesses right now in addition to my real estate business, and none of them are like real estate in that this is an industry so filled with freaking egos. And I truly believe that ego stifles more careers than anything else.
Yeah.
That girl didn't want to hire these people probably for an ego reason, right? Intimidate, whatever it may be.
100%.
But it's insane. They just end up getting their own ways. So